Hi, it's Chris Thomas again. In this video, I'm going to attempt to explain why it is that Earth is indeed stopped in orbit. Now, Zeta Talk has informed us many years ago that this was the case. December 23rd, 2003. Now, I know that this concept is very difficult for practically just about every person I've ever talked to understand. It's almost unbelievable for most people because the seasons have carried on. Now I'm going to explain all this. Now, just bear in mind, this is all about me taking Zeta Talk information, processing it, and reducing it to something that people can understand. So it's not a massive website. Zeta Talk is, I think I did a count of the pages with a website program that counts the number of pages in a website. Zeta Talk, about a year ago, I did this count. Over 28,000 pages. There's nobody that I know has that kind of time to read through that. So, and I have. So, I take Zeta Talk information and I convert it into what I believe into examples and reasoning that people can understand. So let's start with this graphic right here. First thing to understand with Earth stoppage in orbit, I'm going to explain why it is that Earth's dead twin is visible in the western sky. This could not be possible if Earth was not stopped in orbit. Earth's dead twin orbits 180 degrees of Earth on the other side of the sun, always seen, never seen. Now, I realize, obviously, that 99.99% of the Earth's population or more have never heard or could even conceive of Earth having a dead twin, but in fact it does. The blue Kachina is the Earth's dead twin. That's in history, so you just have to research Hopi Indians and the blue Kachina. While you're at it, take a look at the red Kachina. Research that, and that's Planet X. But right now we're talking about the blue Kachina, which is Earth's dead twin, and I'm going to refer to that as EDT. So, as I said, it always orbits opposite of Earth. So Earth is here, Earth's EDT is here. Earth is here, EDT is here. Earth is here, EDT is over here. That's the way it goes. Now, I've chosen this particular graphic so I can explain why first of all, east and west in regards to Earth's orbit. Now, this is eastward. On Earth, this is westward. So we are on the X, and here in this graphic here, you can see that we are facing south from the north. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So that's linked to where I move Earth here. Okay, so let's go to right. We're in the winter position for the northern hemisphere right now here. Now I'm going to pop this into sunrise. Now we're on the X, so as you can see, we are on the other side of Earth, facing eastward when the sun rises. As Earth progresses, we're on the other side of the Earth, facing west. Here, follow the cursor. This is west. So in the evening, late night, we look into the western sky. In the morning, we look into the eastern sky. Now, what happened when Earth stopped in orbit? Well, Let's go to this graphic here. When Planet X entered the solar system rather quickly, according to Zeta Talk, it's at a 32-degree angle in the solar system south, which is down here. This is solar system north, up here. So as a profile, it came from Orion in this direction like this. Now this represents about 32-degree angle. So this would be the view if you were sitting on Planet X looking at the sun about November or October of 2003, approaching the sun. Okay, we're at a 32-degree angle. You're on Nibiru, Planet X, right? And this is the beat of view. Under the ecliptic. Now Planet X zoomed in, and of course encountered the atomic particle flows, and other particle flows came into activity, repulsion force, and slowed Planet X down to a crawl. It moves around the sun. It's going. Planet X orbits the sun in a clockwise, like this. That's clockwise. It's clockwise. Comes up, and it's orbiting like this slowly. Clockwise. Now it doesn't actually ever complete an orbit around the sun, but this is the direction, because when it's done getting through the ecliptic, where there's a lot of pressure, a lot of atomic flows near the sun, it's going to do this, and then it's going to go out of the solar system like that. So Planet X comes up, and here is Earth moving merrily along in October, November of 2003. Let's just, okay, here's Earth moving along, progressing. Here comes Planet X, 32-degree angle, zoomed in, and where does it come? It pops up into between the orbit of Venus and Earth, right in here, like that. Now here it looks rather close, but in actual fact it's actually quite far away from Earth, but it pops up right in between there. So what is Earth to do? Here's a massive dwarf star sitting very close to its orbit. Earth comes to a stop. Then what happens? From there on, as Planet X advances, Earth gets pushed back like that. Now, of course, like so, as it pushes it back like that. This is why Earth has stopped in orbit, because of the presence of Planet X right about there. It's crawling slowly because of the particle flows on the ecliptic. We know this by Zeta Talk science. Okay. Now, let's go back to my graphic. So we covered that. Now, so Earth stops in orbit in December, the winter position for Northern Hemisphere. What's EDT do? Well, it's not affected by Planet X at that point. So it just continues to orbit. So some months later, EDT encounters Earth stopped in orbit. What is it to do? It has no choice but to stop itself. Repulsion force keeps it off from touching Earth. So it's here where EDT dithers and moves about according to whatever particle flows are going on with planet X, and there's a lot going on. But it's in this zone here. Where is this? In the western sky. Which is why, here's a picture off the pole shifting YUC. Pictures like this, EDT sitting right there. And you zoom into that, you see it's a planet. It's not a lens flare. Behind clouds, sitting right there. That's EDT. The blue Caccino. It's even blue. So, over here we have another catch of EDT. This is the setting sun here. Starts up here. It's 1/2 hour of a video. I believe there's 4 or 5 shots. And as the Earth sets, rather, as the sun sets, there's EDT. Blue Caccino. Again, this is off the pole shifting. So it's not a lens flare because it doesn't move in relation to the sun. It has its own. It's not related. It's not a lens flare. It's moving. It has its own sense of position. So if you understand lens flares, you understand that you can't have this in a lens flare. The camera is perfectly still. That's EDT. Now this is 5:40, and that's in the 12-hour clock. So that's in the afternoon. And there you go. And there is EDT sitting in the western sky. So here's another shot of EDT, but only this is magnetic imaging. Now the website that this comes from is long been taken down by the Planet X cover-up disinformation team, the massive force that is in place to hide the truth about Planet X. But this here, it was confirmed by the Zetas as EDT. It's in the right position as far as the height off of the ecliptic. This is the ecliptic here. Let's go back here. This is the ecliptic. Where all the planets orbit on that plane. That's the ecliptic. Now I'll be referring to that in a minute. Okay, so we go back to this shot. So that is EDT in the western sky right there. Magnetic imaging. Alright, now we know we see EDT. So it could only be one reason for that. Earth is stopped in orbit. Came around here, boom, comes behind Earth. That's why we see it in the western sky. Now, let's move on to a graphic I have. This graphic is going to be in my Planet X newsletter, issue 4. This is what I drew it up for. But for purposes of this video, I've brought it on board here. This is entirely my creation. Alright, now, this graphic, you have to look at it into 2 pieces. The circle is Earth's theoretical orbit. These are these zones here are Earth at various times during its normal orbit. And I've chosen these points for a reason. Now the center portion is really isolated in that this is the view of Planet X and the Sun from Earth, as if we were standing on Earth looking at it. Okay, now I'm going to go and I'm going to explain something here. And this is why we see Planet X in the 4 o'clock position or the 3 o'clock position. Anywhere in the northern hemisphere, you'll see it from about the 3 o'clock position down to about the 6. Now, if you're in the southern hemisphere, you see it from the noon position to about the 9 o'clock position. But we're going to talk about a northern hemisphere vision look at Planet X, and it usually appears, as I said, between the 3 o'clock and the 6 o'clock. Now, one has to ask themselves, why is it that Planet X can appear anywhere from the 3 to the 6? And I'm going to explain that right now. Okay. Now, I'm going to rotate Earth around the Sun. But that is in this graphic here. But it's only to show the viewpoint. You see the yellow dot there? That's the viewpoint of the Sun from Earth. So, now, as I rotate this, I'm only wanting you to notice where this yellow dot goes. Never mind where you are on Earth, just notice the dot moves. Now watch that yellow dot. Goes about that. The red line is the ecliptic. Oh, actually, in this case, it's actually the equator. But notice how when we are in, this would be, I believe, this is in October. But there again, we're not orbiting the Sun. But watch the yellow dot. Notice how it comes back up to the equator, and then it keeps going down. Then it goes down again. Now, what I'm trying to illustrate here is, I'll explain what is causing the seasons in a second. But notice the yellow dot, how it moves above the equator and below the equator. So when Earth tips, I'm not saying we're orbiting, I'm saying when Earth tips, our viewpoint changes of the Sun. And that is what's causing, part of the reasons why it is causing the position of Planet X to appear in different locations. But remember, it always appears from the northern hemisphere from the 3 o'clock position to the 6. And this is one of the main reasons why, as Earth is tipped. Now I'm going to explain the seasons and the tipping in a minute. Another reason for the changing of the position of Planet X in that arc that I've explained is from the 3 to the 6, is because of Earth wobble. So as Earth revolves, now apparently I think we're probably in about at this point, we've been pushed back in orbit. Remember, Earth orbits in an anti-clockwise, normally, when there's no Planet X in our solar system. Orbits like that. Now Planet X orbits like this, opposite. So when Earth came to a stop, it pushed, Planet X has been pushing it back. And we're pushed back to about, I think, somewhere around here. So, we were discussing movement of Planet X. I gotta remember where I was. Oh yes. So, now, as Earth rotates, we have a magnetic north that faces the Sun. Let's call this mag north right here. So right now it's away from the Sun. Planet X is sunward. We'll keep that in mind. Planet X is in here, this direction in here, right in there. So with a mag north not facing the Sun, Earth takes a different attitude, a different tip. But when mag north comes around and starts to see the Sun, that's when Earth bobs back like that. It rotates. Now mag north is now not facing the sun, so then it tips back to the sun. And apparently there's another wobble at this point when it's in opposition, when it's on this side and the sun is hidden from the magnetic north. But for simple purposes, this is why, boom, facing the sun, magnetic north of planet X pushes Earth back, makes it rotate backward. I should have it over here so you can see that it's rotating backward away from the sun. And when it's over on this side, it bobs back into some kind of a tilt. That is why you have Earth wobble, which is why we're having all this wild weather. It's causing the land masses to slip under the atmosphere of cooler air, cold air, and vice versa. So it's bobbing back and forth as it's sitting in, as the Earth is rotating, it's doing this. Now it's doing more, but that's basically what's happening. Okay, so now that is another reason why, with this bobbing Earth wobble, why Planet X always seems to be seen in this zone. You'll never see it up here. If you see something up here, you know it's not Planet X. It's a lens flare, or it's a moon of Planet X. But anyways, that's the basics. Now, okay, so that's why we see Planet X moving from the 3 to the 6, from the 12. But you never see a genuine catch of Planet X over here. Now let's just talk Northern Hemisphere for a moment. Just Northern Hemisphere. You're never going to see Planet X here, or here, or here, or here. Anywhere in here. Simply because it's just not astronomically possible. Which is why all the genuine views appear from the 3 to the 6 in the Northern Hemisphere. Now this graphic is to show why that is. Excuse me. Okay, so now these are theoretical positions because Earth is not orbiting the sun. But if Earth was in this position, from there to here, it's about a 3-month period, 2-month period. That means that Planet X would be behind the sun. So you would have times over the last 12 or whatever 15 years we've been observing the second sun. You would have times when blocks of time, patterns of timings, where Planet X never showed up. And now it's the same on this side, the same effect, because if theoretical position, if we were in here from here to here, which is about a month and a half, Planet X would never be visible because it would be in front of the sun and hidden in the sun's glare. The only time it's visible is when it's off to the side, so light reflects off of it and comes separately to our eyes. So you've got 1.5, 2, 3. So we got about 3.5 months of the year where it would never be visible. Now, if we were look at this position here, this would be, if we were in that theoretical position and we had orbited to this position, then Planet X would be seen from the Northern Hemisphere at the 8 o'clock position, because we're opposite. In the same hemisphere, we're opposite, here to here. So we never see genuine shots of Planet X here. Now if you want to confuse lens flares, you can go to YouTube or wherever and get all into the drama. But the reality is only 3 weeks of the year, if Earth was orbiting the sun, there's only a 3-week window where we would see Planet X in these positions. Perhaps we'll call it 4 weeks or 5 weeks if we're talking from this position to here. But as far as the 4 o'clock position is concerned, it'd be only 3 weeks out of the year you'd see Planet X in that position. Well, as it happens, you can catch at any random time, you'll catch Planet X in these positions in the 3 to 6 zone anytime at all. You'll see it here. And I hope that's understood. Anytime you see a picture, Planet X, a genuine catch, you have to be able to determine a genuine catch. It always appears here. And the reason for that is because we are indeed stopped in orbit, and that is a simple fact. I hope that's understood. I've tried to explain this. I don't know how any other way to explain it except that there would be a 3-week zone in the year where you could only see Planet X at this location. So that means that as I said earlier, if we had orbiting, we would see it at the 8 o'clock position in the northern hemisphere, and you never see it in the 8 o'clock position in the northern hemisphere. Always, and I'm repeating myself, always appears from the 3 o'clock to the 6. And the reason that it's variable in here is because of the tipping of Earth through the seasons. Now we're going to move through to me to explain the simple, uncomfortable fact, and this is strictly Zeta talk, that Earth is stopped in orbit, and the Earth is being tipped by ET technology to, now I can't tip it over on this side, but it's actually tipping all the way over to simulate the southern hemisphere getting the light, which would be simulated by, pardon me, moving it over there, and then so that the southern hemisphere gets their summer. But ET technology is tipping this Earth. Now, I know what many people are thinking, but this is a secondary or tertiary issue, the tipping of the globe. The primary issue is the fact you can't get around it. It's the only time you ever see Planet X at the 4 o'clock position would be 3 weeks of the year, and that just doesn't exist. You never see it at the 8 o'clock. So this is the primary thing. The tipping thing is your problem. If you can't accept that there are ET technologies that are millions of years in development, then that is just a limitation of your mind. But the fact is that we are a little blip on the deal here, and human mind is a very small thing, and the Earth is just a tiny portion of what's going on. So this is how it's happening. The globe is being tipped like that. It simulates the season. This is Chris Thomas. Hi, this is Chris Thomas again. I wanted to add an addendum to my Why Planet X is Stopped in Orbit. This is simply 2 things I wanted to correct. An error I made, that I said that the Earth is stopped in orbit as of December the 23rd, 2003, but in Zeta Talk they say it actually stopped on December 25th, 2003. Another reason I wanted to do this addendum is to explain why it is that Earth, the tipping of Earth to simulate the seasons was instigated. Well, let's take another concept into play here. Earth is not just some 7 billion planet with 7 billion humans on it, unwatched. It's very carefully managed. Now, this brings into discussion what the Zeta Talk calls the Council of Worlds, which, for all intentional purposes, is a good enough expression. It's this what I call the spiritual hierarchy of Earth. Now, if the seasons, if the Earth was not tipped, that would mean, let's take a look at this. I believe that Earth has been pushed back to about this position here, which is approximately 1/3 of the orbit of the Sun. So if that was the case, that would mean that you would have extremely long seasons. I think my math tells me it would be about roughly about 3/4 of a year to a year per season. That would mean you'd have a summer that was almost a year long, because Earth would be moving slowly, right, back like that, and slowly tipping, naturally tipping, away or close to the Sun, depending on which hemisphere you're in. So when you think about people and how they react emotionally and act out, can you imagine how people would act if suddenly the seasons had become a year long per season? You'd have well, just think about it. If you think about it, people would be very upset, wondering what was causing this. And of course, the internet would be alive with Google searches about the seasons, and eventually they're going to run into Zeta Talk or some website explaining what's really going on, which is Planet X is pushing Earth backwards. And then the questions are going to come up, well, hold it, why don't we know about this? And of course, the executives at NASA would suddenly disappear from their desks and end up in the mountains of Colorado, hiding out, along with the rest of the government. So nobody wants this to happen. And in fact, in a way, it's very good that the seasons have been simulated. Now, there's a bigger question. I covered that in my Planet X issue 3, which is, I'll just mention this briefly, which is about the spiritual orientation decisions of humans. Because Earth is moving from the 3rd to the 4th dimension. Now, that's another video, but there's a lot going on here. This is not just a planet passing through the solar system. So what the spiritual hierarchy of Earth arranged is for ET technology to tip the Earth slowly to simulate the seasons. Now, I know what you're thinking. Now, if you're a blockhead and you can't get past your culture, that's your problem. But the fact is that Earth is a very small little planet in the universe, and that we know there are ET civilizations. We see the UFOs on YouTube. We see them. So I've seen them myself personally. Okay? So ET technology is millions of years old. So tipping an Earth, a planet, is just about manipulating the atomic flows. It's not a big deal for them. So that's what's going on. The Earth is being tipped because it's to keep the human civilization in a status quo for a while until they make their spiritual orientation decisions. Are you going to sacrifice your wants and desires for the light, or are you going to use power, be it money or physical brute force, to get what you want? Your decision. Once you've made it, then that's fine. But the whole idea is, let's all turn to the light here, folks. Let's help others and work together. That's the new Earth. This is Chris Thomas. Thanks for watching.